Imagine being a truck driver transporting high-value goods down a quiet motorway when suddenly disaster strikes. A gang of masked criminals in high-speed cars surrounds your lorry. One of them climbs onto the roof, breaks into the cargo hold, and starts tossing out thousands of pounds worth of luxury electronics, all while the truck is still moving. This isn't a scene from an action film. It actually happened in Northamptonshire, UK in 2024. The gang got away with over £5 million worth of electronics, vanishing before law enforcement could respond. And this is just one of thousands of incidents in a crisis that's spiraling out of control. In 2024 alone, cargo thefts in the UK surged, inflicting £102 million in direct losses on businesses, a sharp rise from £68 million the previous year. Experts warn that without immediate intervention, losses could exceed £120 million in 2025. With hotspots along the M6, A14 and M1, coupled with a severe shortage of secure lorry parking, criminals are exploiting weak points in the system with increasing precision. So, how are these thefts executed? Who is behind them? And what can be done to stop this growing crisis? Let's dive in. Cargo theft in the UK has reached alarming levels, with incidents becoming more frequent, organized, and violent. In 2024, over 5,370 cargo thefts were reported, a 5% increase from 2023. However, experts believe the actual numbers are much higher, given the underreporting of incidents. The financial toll is staggering. Direct losses from stolen goods reached £102 million in 2024, but the indirect costs, including disrupted supply chains, rising insurance premiums, and increased security expenses, bring the total economic impact closer to £250 million annually. Small and mid-sized operators are especially vulnerable, with some businesses forced to shut down after suffering repeated losses. The ripple effect extends beyond the logistics industry. In late 2024, thieves stole £3 million worth of luxury cosmetics, causing nationwide stock shortages. Another heist targeting electronic devices delayed shipments to over 50 retailers, causing frustration for consumers and leading to price hikes during peak shopping seasons. Online black markets have further exacerbated the issue. Criminals quickly resell stolen goods through encrypted platforms and social media marketplaces, making it difficult for authorities to trace the merchandise. Demand for discounted electronics, fashion items, and pharmaceuticals continues to fuel these underground distribution networks. The National Vehicle Crime Intelligence Service, NAVSIS, has warned of a rise in insider involvement, with corrupt employees leaking sensitive shipment details to organized gangs. The insider access allows criminals to plan heists with greater accuracy, increasing their success rates and making it harder for businesses to protect their cargo. Internationally, UK cargo theft has caught the attention of European security agencies. The EU's Transport Security Task Force is now working alongside UK authorities to tackle cross-border cargo smuggling, enhance intelligence sharing, and crack down on international theft networks. However, without stronger domestic enforcement and industry-wide reforms, cargo theft is expected to keep rising, further straining businesses and the economy. Cargo thieves operate with increasing precision, using highly coordinated and daring methods. Two of the most notorious techniques include Romanian rollover. A trailing vehicle follows a moving lorry at high speed. A thief climbs onto the lorry, breaches the rear doors, and transfers goods into the following vehicle. In 2024, at least 9 such incidents were recorded, primarily targeting electronics and luxury goods. This method requires extensive planning, specialized skills, and precise execution. Jump-up thefts. These occur when lorries are stationary, at rest stops, traffic lights, or in slow-moving traffic. Thieves climb onto the back of the vehicle, break into the cargo hold, and abscond with stolen goods. An estimated 15 such thefts occur daily in the UK, making this the most prevalent method. Criminals often target high-value shipments and work in teams to ensure rapid execution. Criminals are also leveraging advanced technology to enhance their operations. GPS jamming and spoofing. Gangs use GPS jammers to disable vehicle tracking, making it harder for authorities to locate stolen shipments. Some even emit false tracking signals, diverting law enforcement while cargo is transported elsewhere. Surveillance and insider information. Organized crime networks employ scouts to monitor distribution centers and track lorry routes. Some infiltrate logistics firms to gain insider access to shipment schedules, security measures, and high-value cargo details. Tactical adaptation. As law enforcement increases its presence in urban areas, criminals have shifted their focus to rural motorways and less policed service stations, taking advantage of poor lighting and low visibility. To fight these evolving threats, logistics firms and law enforcement are implementing countermeasures such as reinforced cargo locks, AI-powered monitoring systems, and increased driver security training. However, the arms race between criminals and security measures continues to escalate, requiring ongoing innovation and coordinated responses. Organized crime groups target high-value items that are easy to transport and quickly resell. The most frequently stolen categories include electronics. Laptops, smartphones, gaming consoles, and high-end computer components made up 40% of all stolen cargo in 2024. Criminals prefer these goods due to their high resale value and ease of transport. Some thefts involve entire shipments worth millions, quickly funneled into black market supply chains. Alcohol and tobacco. High-value whiskey, champagne, and cigarettes remain prime targets. These products are often smuggled internationally, making tracking and recovery particularly difficult. In some cases, organized crime networks use legitimate supply chains to disguise stolen stock. Luxury goods. Designer handbags, watches, and branded clothing are frequently stolen. Thieves often sell these items through online marketplaces or integrate them into counterfeit operations. Some gangs use professional-grade fake packaging to pass off stolen goods as legitimate. Pharmaceuticals. Stolen medications present significant public health risks, especially when they are resold without proper storage conditions. In 2024, a major heist involved prescription drugs worth £2.5 million, later found being sold through unregulated online platforms. Automotive parts. Luxury car components, including catalytic converters, alloy wheels, and high-performance engine parts have become major targets. Criminals strip these parts and resell them individually, making tracking nearly impossible. With the rising costs of automotive components, thefts in this category are expected to increase. The rise of the dark web and encrypted communication apps has made it easier for criminals to distribute stolen goods anonymously. Some operations use encrypted messaging platforms to coordinate sales, while others leverage legitimate e-commerce websites to launder stolen merchandise. Industry experts warn that without stronger supply chain security and tighter regulations on online resale platforms, these thefts will continue to escalate, driving further instability in the market. The economic toll of cargo theft is crippling the UK's haulage industry. Annual losses now exceed £250 million, with projections estimating unchecked theft could push cumulative costs beyond £6.1 billion by 2049. Adjusted for inflation, this figure could climb to £7.9 billion. Insurers now classify cargo transport as a high-risk sector, leading to soaring premiums. Small operators, already struggling with tight margins, are finding these costs unsustainable, forcing many to shut down or scale back operations. Larger logistics firms invest millions in security upgrades, yet thefts persist, draining financial resources and disrupting business continuity. The impact ripples beyond haulage companies. Retailers and manufacturers face increased costs, which are passed on to consumers in the form of higher prices and stock shortages. These disruptions become especially pronounced during peak shopping seasons, such as Christmas, where delayed deliveries and product unavailability frustrate consumers and damage retailer revenues. Beyond the financial impact, stolen goods fuel an expansive black market economy. Illicit trade not only siphons revenue from legitimate businesses, but also reduces tax contributions, straining public services. More concerningly, proceeds from cargo theft often finance organized crime, including drug trafficking, human smuggling, and even terrorism. In response, industry leaders are calling for urgent reforms. These include stricter penalties for cargo theft, government-backed subsidies for enhanced security measures, and improved coordination between law enforcement and logistics firms. Without decisive action, the economic damage will continue to escalate, putting further pressure on an industry already facing significant operational and regulatory challenges. Cargo theft remains concentrated in specific regions where criminals exploit weak security and high freight movement. The most targeted areas include M6 corridor, one of the UK's busiest freight routes, linking major logistics hubs. Poorly secured service stations and overnight parking areas make parked lorries easy targets. Criminal gangs operate in coordinated units, using surveillance tactics to track vulnerable shipments before executing their thefts. A14 and M1. These highways connect ports to inland distribution centers, making them prime locations for theft, especially at night. Criminals often intercept vehicles as they slow down at junctions or service stops, exploiting the lack of continuous monitoring in these areas. Urban centers. London, Manchester, and Birmingham remain major hotspots. Gangs use these cities as bases for planning thefts and distributing stolen goods through underground networks, including black market resellers and illicit supply chains. Rural routes. Criminals are increasingly targeting less patrolled highways such as the A50 and A46, where lower police presence allows them to operate with reduced risk. These roads provide easy escape routes, making it difficult for authorities to track stolen cargo once it has been removed from the lorries. Law enforcement efforts are hampered by several factors, including limited resources, fragmented coordination between regional agencies, and difficulty in tracking stolen goods. Many stolen shipments are quickly moved across borders or dismantled and resold in smaller units, making recovery efforts increasingly complex. Less than 10% of stolen cargo is recovered within 6 months, and only 15% of reported cases lead to arrests. Authorities are working to improve surveillance at rest stops and expand collaboration with European agencies to disrupt smuggling networks. New initiatives include increasing the number of mobile patrol units on key motorways, installing AI-enhanced surveillance cameras at high-risk service stations, and enhancing data sharing between law enforcement agencies. However, without increased funding, stronger deterrence, and industry cooperation, cargo theft is expected to remain a significant challenge. To further combat the issue, logistics firms are advocating for government support in creating more secure lorry parking facilities with better lighting, security personnel, and restricted access zones. Additionally, industry leaders are calling for stricter regulations on second-hand marketplaces, where stolen goods are frequently sold, reducing the incentive for criminals to continue large-scale cargo theft operations. As of February 2025, cargo theft in the UK continues to escalate, showing no signs of slowing down. In July 2024, the country recorded 620 theft incidents, averaging 20 heists per day, marking a 58% increase from February 2024. The total value of goods stolen in September 2024 reached 19.2 million euros, with organized crime gangs becoming more aggressive and technologically advanced. Criminal networks are adapting quickly, employing GPS jammers, cloned tracking devices, and encrypted communication to evade detection. Reports also indicate a rise in violent incidents, with armed gangs increasingly targeting lorry drivers, using threats and physical force to gain control of cargo. Authorities have struggled to keep up as criminals shift their focus to remote service stations and less monitored highways, taking advantage of the lack of secure parking and inadequate surveillance. Law enforcement efforts have ramped up in response. UK police, in collaboration with European agencies, have launched joint investigations into cargo smuggling networks, uncovering that a significant portion of stolen goods is being funneled out of the UK and into black markets across Europe. The EU's Transportation Security Task Force has increased intelligence sharing efforts, leading to coordinated raids on criminal warehouses storing stolen goods. Despite these measures, thefts remain high. Logistics firms are deploying AI-driven surveillance, real-time cargo tracking, and private security escorts for high-value shipments. Some companies are lobbying for government subsidies to offset rising security costs, while industry leaders push for legislative changes, including harsher penalties for cargo theft and stricter regulations on the resale of stolen goods. The UK government has also faced growing pressure to address the ongoing lorry parking crisis. With over 11,000 secure parking spaces needed, many drivers are forced to park in vulnerable areas, making them easy targets. A proposed £100 million investment in secure truck stops has been delayed due to budget constraints, leaving the industry frustrated and exposed to further losses. Experts warn that without immediate reforms, including improved law enforcement coordination, secure parking infrastructure, and stronger deterrence, cargo theft losses in 2025 could exceed £150 million. The haulage sector remains on high alert, calling for urgent action to protect the supply chain and prevent further economic damage. As organized crime continues to evolve, cargo theft methods are expected to become even more sophisticated in the coming years. Several emerging threats could further challenge law enforcement and industry stakeholders. Cyber attacks on logistics systems. Criminals are increasingly using cyber tactics to infiltrate supply chain software, rerouting shipments, disabling GPS trackers, and forging transportation documentation to divert cargo to unauthorized locations. Increased use of AI by criminals. With artificial intelligence improving tracking and security measures, criminals are also leveraging AI-driven tools to analyze traffic patterns, identify security weak points, and plan thefts with precision. Expansion of cross-border smuggling networks. Recent reports indicate that cargo theft rings are expanding operations across Europe, using corrupt border officials and fraudulent customs documents to smuggle stolen goods between countries undetected. To counter these threats, industry leaders are exploring advanced countermeasures. Blockchain for secure shipment tracking. Some logistics firms are testing blockchain technology to create tamper-proof tracking records, making it more difficult for criminals to alter shipment details or forge documents. Stronger collaboration between law enforcement and private sector. Companies are pushing for the creation of a national database that would allow authorities and industry players to share real-time data on theft patterns, suspicious activity, and black market resellers. Expansion of AI-powered surveillance. AI-driven cameras and monitoring systems are being integrated into high-risk transport routes to improve real-time threat detection and response capabilities. Increased use of secure convoy systems. Some logistics companies are now hiring armed convoy escorts for particularly high-value shipments to deter hijack attempts. While these strategies represent significant progress, experts caution that without stronger government intervention and stricter penalties for offenders, cargo theft will remain a persistent issue. A coordinated effort between law enforcement, industry leaders, and policymakers is necessary to prevent further economic losses and ensure the stability of the UK's supply chain. Cargo theft in the UK has reached crisis levels, with rising incidents, evolving criminal tactics, and significant economic consequences. Despite increased enforcement efforts and improved security measures, theft rates continue to rise, leaving businesses, law enforcement, and policymakers struggling to keep up. To mitigate this crisis, a multi-layered approach is required. Strengthening legal frameworks, increasing investment in secure infrastructure, and fostering collaboration between law enforcement and logistics firms will be key to reversing the current trend. Additionally, greater focus must be placed on addressing emerging threats, such as cybercrime and AI-enhanced theft strategies, before they become dominant tactics in organized crime networks. Ultimately, protecting the UK's supply chain requires a commitment to long-term reforms. Without decisive action, businesses will continue to suffer, consumers will face increased prices, and organized crime will further embed itself within the logistics industry. The time for intervention is now, and only a unified effort can curb the growing epidemic of cargo theft. What do you think is the best way to stop the rise in cargo thefts? Should harsher penalties be enforced for criminals? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe for more investigative reports to stay ahead of this growing crisis.